Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where wisdom is worth spreading. Wishing you an enjoyable listening experience. In this audio episode, I'll be decoding "different" for you, with the subtitle, Escaping the Competitive Herd. I'll take approximately 25 minutes to delve into the essence of the book. In today's world, where products are becoming increasingly homogeneous, how can businesses achieve differentiation in their products and brands? Have you ever felt that despite the growing number of choices available, products seem to lack distinctiveness? Take smartphones, for example. If you place several brands' smartphones side by side, it's challenging for the average consumer to easily identify which brand a particular phone belongs to based solely on its appearance because they are becoming more and more alike. So, when Samsung decided to remove the front-facing logo from one of its phones, many consumers expressed the sentiment that it's better to keep the logo so that others can recognize it as a Samsung phone. This illustrates that brand uniqueness seems to be gradually disappearing, and one could even argue that brands are becoming mediocre. From a marketing perspective, many classic theories emphasize the need for a unique selling proposition for products or highlight the importance of differentiation between brands. However, most brands inevitably seem to enter the stage of what the author calls the homogenization of wills, where different products may have minor differences, but those differences have become so small that they are essentially homogenized. You might wonder why this phenomenon is occurring and what businesses should do to genuinely achieve differentiation and appear unique and distinctive. This book, Different, offers a unique perspective on this matter. The author not only thoroughly analyzes the reasons behind product homogenization but also provides a new methodology for businesses to pursue differentiation, avoiding homogenization and staying ahead of the competition in new dimensions and on new tracks. The author of this book, Youngmi Moon, previously taught at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and is currently a professor at Harvard Business School. His marketing course is one of the most popular courses at Harvard, and he has received numerous teaching awards from the Harvard Business School. He has also published case studies on companies like Microsoft, IKEA, and Intel, which are highly regarded by business management and marketing professionals. This best-selling book, Different, can be seen as a collection of essays on marketing. Youngmi Moon writes in a conversational tone, offering his observations and reflections as an ordinary consumer and a business school professor on the consumer world. These observations and reflections provide a fresh perspective and approach for us to understand the current market competition and seek the path of differentiation. Now that we've covered the basic information about this book and the author, I'll proceed to explain the book's content in 3 parts. 1. Why hasn't competition among businesses made products more different but instead more homogeneous? 2. How do consumers react to products that are continually upgraded but are becoming increasingly homogeneous? 3. What should businesses do to break free from competition and truly achieve differentiation? Let's start with the first part of the content. Why hasn't competition among businesses made products more different but instead more homogeneous? The author believes that products have become more homogeneous primarily due to 2 reasons. The first reason is that businesses measure their products against industry standard benchmarks. Let's look at some common phenomena. For example, a student's excellence is often judged based on their academic performance, and the university's quality is assessed by its ranking. Even in healthcare, many people use mortality rates as a measure of a hospital's professionalism. These are all common benchmarks we encounter in our daily lives. While these benchmarks simplify our understanding of things, they also have drawbacks. These benchmarks are like compass needles, guiding all competitors to converge around them, leading to a herd effect in competition. In other words, all competitive groups cluster around these benchmarks, closely mirroring each other. The more entrenched these benchmarks become, the fiercer the competition between businesses. It becomes increasingly challenging to deviate from these benchmarks and create differentiation. Now, let's revisit the examples mentioned earlier. If a student's excellence is measured by their grades, most students will prioritize improving their grades rather than spending time developing personal interests and talents. If a university's primary focus is on its overall ranking, some specialized schools may concentrate more on enhancing the university's overall competitiveness, neglecting their unique characteristics. If mortality rates are the measure of a hospital's professionalism, most hospitals may prefer not to accept patients with high treatment complexity. The result of all these tendencies is that the differences between students, schools, and hospitals become smaller and more similar. Similarly, within the business context, the establishment of these benchmarks leads to the herd effect in competition. Take an example from the book. Volvo used to emphasize the safety and practicality of its cars, while Audi focused on performance and appearance. However, over time, the differences between Audi and Volvo, apart from their logos, have become quite minimal. This is because both brands started prioritizing safety, practicality, performance, and appearance, industry standard benchmarks. Audi aimed to catch up with Volvo in safety, while Volvo aimed to catch up with Audi in performance, and both were working hard to address their weaknesses in these benchmark areas, trying to keep up with their competitors. This situation can be likened to the barrel theory often mentioned in competition. When competing with rivals, the initial reaction is to shore up weaknesses, resulting in a similar appearance to competitors. However, to truly achieve differentiation, one should adopt the opposite strategy, reinforcing strengths, enhancing advantages, and widening the gap with competitors. So, this is the first reason why products have become more homogeneous. Businesses measure their products against industry standard benchmarks, endeavoring to compensate for their shortcomings and weaknesses, ultimately leading to a convergence and increasing similarity among them. The second reason for the homogenization of products is that companies follow the common trend of product upgrades and evolution as market competition intensifies. In the process of upgrading and evolving their products, companies typically employ two methods, additive upgrading and punitive upgrading. Additive upgrading involves enhancing a product's features and value on top of its existing functions. For instance, if we take facial cleansers as an example, they used to serve only the purpose of facial cleansing. Over time, additional functions such as acne treatment, freckle removal, skin whitening, and moisturizing oil control were gradually added. Products like computers and smartphones continuously undergo additive upgrades, with increasing storage space, higher pixel counts, and faster processors. On the other hand, punitive upgrading essentially involves further segmenting the market for an existing product, much like cells dividing and multiplying. For instance, in the beverage market, there are categories such as cola, soda, flavored drinks, tea beverages, coffee, purified water, and more. Each of these categories has further market subsegments. For instance, Coca-Cola, which used to produce only one type of cola, started manufacturing multiple varieties like Diet Coke, Vanilla Coke, Cherry Coke, and Coke Zero. Both additive and punitive upgrading methods are quite common, and most companies follow these directions in their product development. As competition intensifies, the pace of product upgrades accelerates, leading to excessive product differentiation. Companies begin to divide the market into smaller and smaller submarkets, and the differences between them diminish. The author uses the term overmaturity in the book to describe this stage. During this phase, products within a category face excessive competition, upgrading, and market segmentation. Product images also become blurred, and consumers often fail to recognize differences between products. However, companies persist in extracting differentiation from these subtle distinctions, striving to convince consumers that their product is unique. Eventually, product upgrades may reach a stage where further improvements offer little to no value to consumers, often referred to as feature bloat or diminishing returns. It is evident that the common industry practice of measuring products against standardized benchmarks and the prevalent directions of additive and punitive upgrading do not deviate from the path of products becoming increasingly homogeneous. Next, let's explore how consumers react to products that are continually upgraded but are becoming increasingly homogeneous. The author believes there are mainly two reactions from consumers. Firstly, consumers develop what is termed as hedonic adaptation, where satisfaction doesn't increase. Research has shown that when people come into a large sum of wealth, such as winning the lottery, they experience intense excitement initially. However, this excitement diminishes over time. Eventually, they lose interest in the activities they used to enjoy with their newfound wealth. After a few months, some may even feel less happy than they did before winning the money. This phenomenon is explained by psychologists as hedonic adaptation, which means that people tend to adapt to the benefits they have acquired, and the psychological pleasure they derive from these benefits decreases over time. Applied to consumers, when a company upgrades its product and offers new value, consumers initially feel pleased. However, as competitors also start providing this value, and the improved product becomes an industry standard, consumers start to view the improvements as expected and continue to anticipate further enhancements. Consequently, companies are compelled to make further product improvements in a continuous cycle. In such a scenario, consumer reactions resemble the hedonic adaptation concept. They feel content initially, but over time, they become accustomed to and take for granted the improvements, resulting in no increase in satisfaction. In addition to the hedonic adaptation phenomenon, the second reaction from consumers is that they start paying less attention to brands, making it challenging for brands to gain consumer loyalty. The author classifies consumers into 4 categories to explain this behavior. The first category is the product category expert. They have a strong preference for a particular product category, like coffee lovers, but they don't necessarily favor a specific brand within that category. They enjoy trying products from different brands and remain loyal to the category rather than a specific brand. The second category is the savvy opportunist. These consumers are solely transactional and focus on deals and discounts. They enjoy bargaining and appreciate added incentives. For financial reasons, they may diligently compare differences between products, but their loyalty primarily lies with lower prices. The third category is the pragmatist. They do not invest time in comparing product differences and believe that products within a category are largely similar. Faced with numerous choices, they make selections casually. The fourth category is the brand loyalist. Regardless of how many brands enter the market, these consumers maintain passion for a specific brand. For example, Apple enthusiasts stay loyal to Apple products. Given these 4 consumer categories, the reason why consumers become less brand-focused when products become increasingly homogeneous is that humans are naturally drawn to change and novelty. Familiarity and the perception of similarity among products fail to excite them. This also applies to brands. For instance, when the high-end ice cream industry had only one player like Häagen-Dazs, there might have been many ardent Häagen-Dazs fans. However, as the market fills with similar products, these devoted fans naturally diminish because the differences between products have become minimal. As products reach the over-maturity stage, brands proliferate and become increasingly alike, making it challenging for consumers to maintain brand loyalty. At this point, consumers who were previously indifferent to brands become more prevalent. They might be product category experts, showing loyalty to the category rather than a particular brand. They could also be savvy opportunists, primarily concerned with price. Some may be pragmatists who consider all products alike and are not willing to invest significant time and effort in distinguishing minor differences. Consequently, brand loyalists become a diminishing segment. If consumers want to express their individuality through brands, they seek brands that offer distinctiveness and uniqueness. Homogeneous brands fail to meet their needs. That concludes the second part of the content. Faced with ongoing product upgrades, consumers develop hedonic adaptation, resulting in unchanged satisfaction levels. Additionally, consumers are becoming less concerned with differences between brands and are no longer brand loyal. In this context, how should businesses break free from competition and truly achieve differentiation? In the following third part, we will focus on discussing this question. As mentioned earlier, businesses commonly compete around industry standards and typically follow a pattern of either additive or incremental upgrades. However, once enterprises understand this pattern, they can attempt to break free from these competitive states and redirect their efforts toward creating differentiation and shaping personality, rather than being consumed by competition. To break free from competition, the author points out 3 methods to achieve differentiation: reverse strategic branding, transcendent branding, and hostile branding. Let's first delve into reverse strategic branding. Reverse strategic branding deliberately opposes the trend of product upgrades by not adding features but simplifying consumer choices. These brands believe that product upgrades often result in excessive services that consumers don't necessarily need. Therefore, reverse strategic brands choose to reduce services. Reverse strategic brands may appear to have fewer features and services, but this deliberate simplification allows them to stand out from the complexity and ambiguity, making them more distinctive and recognizable to consumers. IKEA is an exemplary reverse strategic brand. Imagine shopping for furniture at a traditional furniture store, where salespeople follow you from the beginning, introduce products, and even offer delivery services, ensuring the furniture is durable to reduce the need for frequent replacements. On the other hand, IKEA takes the opposite approach. They provide no shopping assistance, allowing you to make your own choices. They do not offer free furniture delivery or assembly services. Interestingly, consumers appreciate the hands-on experience of assembling their furniture. IKEA does not promise long-lasting durability. Instead, they encourage consumers to replace their furniture after a few years, making their furniture more affordable and stylish. However, reverse strategic brands are not just about simplifying choices to combat upgrades. While reducing some services, they may also introduce other unrelated services that appear attractive and engage consumers. For example, at IKEA, you can buy items beyond furniture, such as well-designed toys and dinnerware. If you get hungry while shopping, they have restaurants where you can enjoy a meal. Let's consider another example, a burger chain in the United States. This particular restaurant has only 6 food items on its menu, devoid of the salads and desserts that most customers typically favor. However, each food item is made from fresh ingredients and prepared on-site. Many customers love their burgers, and even several movie stars frequent this establishment. While most restaurants offer a wide variety of complex dishes without assisting customers in making choices, this approach often leads to decision fatigue for customers and results in a loss of time for businesses. So, this is the first strategy for differentiation: reverse strategic branding. In a landscape where many brands keep adding features, brands like IKEA and the burger joint with only 6 items on the menu have chosen to subtract from their offerings. While reducing, they also introduce other attractive services, making their brand clear and distinctive. Reverse strategic branding is a countermeasure against the additive upgrades of products. Now, let's take a look at the second differentiation strategy: transcendent branding. Transcendent branding is a strategy that goes against the trend of punitive upgrades in products. The essence of transcendent branding is to resist the constant subdivision and differentiation of products and to attempt breaking away from conventional product categorization thinking. This is what we commonly refer to as cross-industry innovation. In reality, we tend to simplify our world by categorizing things, making it more comprehensible. From a young age, we learn to classify objects, such as distinguishing between plants and animals. However, the drawback of these classifications is that they can easily limit our thinking, trapping our thoughts within a particular category. Transcendent brands have the ability to break free from these conventional classifications and connect seemingly unrelated elements to create a sense of fusion. This approach results in the creation of something entirely new. There's a classic saying in advertising that creativity is the recombination of old elements, which essentially conveys the same idea. Let's explore an example from the book. At one point, Sony wanted to develop a household robot. In the common perception, having a robot at home meant assistance with household chores like laundry and dishwashing. However, in the 1990s, when artificial intelligence technology was far from mature, there was no way to create a robot that met consumers' expectations. Even if such a robot were created, it would have limited functionality and unreliable performance, ultimately leaving consumers dissatisfied. So, what could be done in such a situation? The development team came up with a unique idea. They decided to design a pet dog with some intelligent features. This pet dog couldn't perform household chores, had no practical utility, and occasionally malfunctioned. Sometimes, it wouldn't respond when called. However, pet owners grew particularly fond of it. Why did this happen? It's because the development team broke the boundaries between robots and pets. This repositioning of an imperfect product turned it into something that people loved. If a household robot malfunctioned, people would consider it useless. But when an intelligent pet dog had issues, its owners would think, well, this pet is quite fun, sometimes, it even ignores me, just like a real pet. Another example is the watch industry. Switzerland dominated the entire watch industry for a long time until a new brand emerged, Swatch. Swatch introduced fashionable elements into the watch industry, breaking away from the old-fashioned, serious, and expensive image associated with Swiss watches. They created a brand with youthfulness and trendy fashion elements. Swatch became a fashion accessory just like ladies' handbags. It came in various styles and colors, allowing people to adjust their accessories according to their moods and clothing. This was a rule borrowed from the fashion world, something the watch industry had never seen before. So, this is the second differentiation strategy: transcendent branding. Transcendent brands always attempt to break free from the conventional categorization of products. They connect robots with pets, watches with fashion, and engage in cross-industry innovation to create something new. Having discussed reverse strategic branding and transcendent branding, let's now explore the third differentiation method known as hostile branding. Hostile branding doesn't simply promote its own advantages or warmly embrace all consumers. Instead, it dares to openly acknowledge its flaws, refuses to easily compromise with consumers, and doesn't aim to please the masses. It caters exclusively to a specific subset of consumers, uniting a niche audience. Most of the advertisements we see tend to promote their products as exceptionally good and highly practical. For instance, a family happily gathered around enjoying a KFC family bucket, or a lady with dandruff-free hair after using a certain shampoo. These advertisements aim to shine a spotlight on their brands, attempting to please all consumers. Hostile branding, on the other hand, boldly highlights a particular shortcoming. For instance, in 2002, BMW introduced a mini version of its car in the American market. Market research showed that Americans favored large SUVs at the time. Small cars were perceived as having limited trunk space, cramped interiors, and discomfort. However, BMW did something unprecedented. They ran a series of simple advertisements. One of them featured just a few size labels arranged from largest to smallest, XXL, XL, down to S, and Mini. This ad directly conveyed the message that they were the smallest, even smaller than you might imagine. Another BMW advertisement directly placed their small car on top of a large car, emphasizing the small size through comparison. Surprisingly, this campaign was a success. In just a year, the Mini car's popularity skyrocketed from 2% to 60%. The consumers who purchased it were predominantly young people aged 25 to 40, who embraced their individuality, pursued fashion, and were open to exploring new things. In contrast to what other companies might do, attempting to dispel consumer concerns and diverting their attention to the product's strengths and positive features, this advertisement deepened concerns by being bold and straightforward. It used this disharmony to showcase its unique characteristics, gaining strength from contradictions and conflicts, leaving a lasting impression, and providing a platform for those who are unique in their preferences. The book also provides a simple example of a brand that offers clothes only for tall and slim girls. In this store, all the clothing sizes are quite small, seemingly intentionally excluding girls with a bit more weight. However, this hostile brand strategy made slim girls love the brand even more and united them, offering a sense of superiority. In this era of excessive self-promotion and catering to the masses, sometimes, being candid about one's flaws, like the BMW Mini, or focusing on serving a specific segment of customers, as seen in brands that cater only to slim girls, rather than aiming to please everyone, can yield better results. So, to summarize, we've explored 3 differentiation strategies: reverse strategic branding, transcendent branding, and hostile branding. It's important to note that there are many other ways for brands to achieve differentiation, and these 3 categories are just a summary of current business practices. Many more methods of differentiation await exploration by businesses. With that, we've covered the content of this book. In this audio, we've shared 3 key points. 1. Why brands and products become homogenized. 2. How consumers respond to product upgrades and increasing homogeneity. 3. 3 methods for achieving differentiation: reverse strategic branding, transcendent branding, and hostile branding. Congratulations on completing another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this with your family and friends. Knowledge is worth spreading, helping us create a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.